You literally can't upload a podcast to Spotify or Apple anywhere without including a podcast description. But is it important what we say in them? I just saw this survey from thepodcasthost.com, and the number one reason that listeners said they chose a podcast was based on the description of the show. That outranked the podcast title, the episode titles, the host of the podcast, the cover art, even ratings and reviews. So yeah, what we say in the podcast description is pretty important. And in this video, I'm going to share the 5 things you're going to want to make sure to include, and then share an example from the brand new podcast I'm about to launch, the Done by Lunch Entrepreneur. In fact, this is video 9 in our series about how to build a podcast in 1 step a day, and you can find the full playlist on my YouTube channel. When a new listener or viewer finds your podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on YouTube, the description is the text that accompanies the title to help them understand what the show is about. It's just like when we look up a movie on Netflix and then it includes a 1 to 2 sentence explanation about it. And an important note of clarity, the description is about your show overall, while show notes are the written content that's included with each episode about those specific episodes. Our goal with the podcast description is that every time our perfect audience member, like the person that we are making this for, reads the description, they decide to click subscribe or follow, depending on the platform, or at least hit play on one of the episodes. Number 1, who it's for. You can call them out specifically, like this is for busy parents, or my new podcast is for online entrepreneurs, and or you can say something that they are definitely going to relate to or agree with. So the first line of my description is, with automations, AI, and everything else available to online entrepreneurs, why does it still feel like our work is never ending? Second thing you're going to want to include is the transformation or value that they're going to receive by listening to your show. Nobody's listening just to hear us talk. They're listening to get value added to their lives in some way. So the next line of mine is, listen to episode 1 to hear Jerry Potter explain the simple realization he had that changed everything and now allows him to be done running his business by lunch every day. Spoiler alert, it's not time management hacks. Third thing to include is going to be you and your authority. Why are you qualified to talk about this? So for me, those are in that last line. So obviously my name is in there, and I don't go deep into my authority, but I share that I had this simple realization and how now I run my business and I'm done by lunch every day. The fourth thing you want to include is, what is your unique, strong premise? Why is this show different than all the others that are out there? If you're in a niche or industry where there are hundreds or thousands of podcasts, you've got to let people know why your show is not going to be the same rehashed stuff that they've heard over and over again on the other shows. So for me, this is partially the idea of being done by lunch, but also this line, spoiler alert, it's not time management hacks. I think for most people, when you think about getting more done in less time, we think about calendar hacks and time management hacks. And so this is a different angle on achieving getting more done in less time. And the fifth one is, what do you want them to do? What is your call to action going to be? And the usual call to action is subscribe and follow. That's actually not what I'm using in mine, which I'll show you here in just a second. But you want to have one single call to action. Don't ask them to subscribe, follow, listen to 10 episodes, and share with 10 friends. Just ask them to do one thing, because they're much more likely to do it if you do that. And asking them to subscribe is a great way to go, which is why it's so popular. But I'm doing something different. I'm asking them to listen to a specific episode. For your show, this could be the first episode, or maybe if you know your 15th episode is really, really good, and it's a great starting point that maybe solves the problem most of your audience has, that is a great place to send them rather than just asking them to subscribe and follow. Subscribe and follow is a big ask for someone who has never heard an episode. I have 2 more quick tips for you that I've included in the description of this video, so you can click down there to see those. Now, your well-crafted podcast description can get somebody to follow or subscribe or at least listen to an episode. But how do we get them to read it in the first place? Your podcast cover art is a big part of that, and I'm showing you exactly what to include in yours in the video on the screen right now. If it's not showing on your device, you can also find the link down in the description.